if you just watch someone using the smartphone on the subway, like I live in New York, in Brooklyn, you just watch someone using the phone. Like you sit there and swipe for like a minute, doing nothing, and then just put it back. And then, 5 seconds, put it out again, do it again, and do that, and then put it back, and just repeat that activities for like 20 times for no reason. If this is not addiction, if this is not like weird, I don't know what's weird. It's just so weird. And we all think it's normal. It's just not normal, and needs to change. And I guess just kind of why we were able to grow and sustain our business throughout the years with our advertisement budget. But yeah.
I'm Eric Fulwiler, and this is Scratch, bringing you marketing lessons from the leading brands and brains, rewriting the rulebook from scratch for the world of today.
Hey everyone, my guest today is Kaiwei Tang, the co-founder and CEO of Light, that makes the Light phone. You have probably heard of the Light phone. They have popped up a bunch in the news over the last 10 years that they've been in existence. And basically their main product, the Light phone, is a very simple, very lightweight. It is still kind of a smartphone, but not really. It is very minimalist functionality. And obviously they're leaning into the whole trend of just how connected or over-connected we are to our phones, but more specifically the fact that the business model around these phones is all about our attention. And they're giving people an alternative to that. Really interesting conversation. Kai does not come from a marketing background. He comes from a product background, even to the point that he said, and one of the things that we talk about is that he doesn't even consciously think about marketing for Light phone. Now, they built an incredibly successful brand and business, not even thinking about marketing. They have a very sharp story that they tell that they're very authentic in being able to deliver on with the content that they do put out, and also, of course, with the product. They've done an incredible job of driving talkability and tapping into microcultures, which we know we are very passionate about and see as a huge way of brands driving category relevance and taking market share. And all of this to the point, everything that they're doing with a very minimal marketing investment, and they're delivering some of the strongest and lowest CPAs within the industry. So a different conversation, a very different perspective, but I promise you there are some very interesting things that marketers can take away from Kai's perspective and how they've gone about building the brand and product of Light. Please enjoy my conversation with Kaiwei Tang. Kai, thank you so much for making the time. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. How are things still in Brooklyn today?
Yeah. Thanks for having me. We are.
Nice. And congratulations on your recent professional birthday, 10 years old for Light now.
I know. Can't believe that it's 10 years. But yeah.
Amazing. All right. So before we get into the conversation about what y'all are doing at Light and with the Light phone, the icebreaker question that we ask every guest is, can you tell us about one challenger brand that you're particularly passionate about right now and why?
Well, I think in our space, which is single purpose, well-designed technology tools, I would probably say Remarkable is a brand that's probably on the same line. It's Remarkable is a tablet for writing, e-ink tablet for writing purpose, a notepad. So I think that's probably in the same space as what we're trying to do with Light phone.
Well, we've actually been trying to get them on the podcast for a little while, so maybe we'll have to reach out and say that we had Light on the podcast. So now, see if we can get them. All right. So let's talk about you and your business. So for people who might not have heard of Light and the Light phone, can you give us an overview of what you do?
Yeah. So Light phone is a simplified smartphone that keep all the modern technology utility that we got accustomed to from a smartphone, but we strip away the business model of attention economy. So no browser, no social media, no advertisement. We do not collect data for profit. None of the tools or app in Light phone collect data for profit.
And where are you at in that journey? So obviously just past 10 years, how many phones are out there in the world? What do you focus on right now? You showed me before we press record, kind of the next iteration that's out. So where are you actually at in terms of the product roadmap at this point?
Yeah, I mean, we are at our third edition or generation of Light Phone. We just announced Light Phone 3 back in July. And we're in the process of prototyping it, testing it, getting it through FCC, PTCRB, or the lab testings, and is scheduled to ship early next year, end of January or February. The Light Phone 1, the first product of Light, was introduced in 2015 after my co-founder and I met in a Google's incubator for designers. In 2015, there were 15 designers in this incubator, and we both resonate with this idea of, like we had conversation with VCs, the successful founders all the time in the space, and the more we talk about startup and the business model, the more we kind of realize that everyone is bragging about this attention economy, meaning that, hey, my user in average spend 6 hours, 7 hours in my app, and that's why we are successful in terms of collecting data, analyze it, synthesize it, so it could precisely create a category to sell it to the highest bidder advertiser, right? And I understand the business model. I think makes sense, but at the same time, millions and millions of apps are doing the same thing in your fingertip, trying to maximize engagement. All social media, most of the browser are using the same business model, which is, collecting data, synthesize it, show advertisement to you, so the advertiser paid them, right? So we decided, just feeling, I guess at the time, I kind of feel like, what about me, right? What about my time? I just want to get an Uber home. Why do I have to read advertisement? Why do you need to know where I am? I don't want any of that. I just want a tool that finish the task I wanted to do quickly, so I could go back living my life, doing the things that make me happy. I don't want to swipe Instagram for 5 hours. Like, when is the last time anyone ever say that, oh, I swipe Instagram and TikTok for 5 hours. My life is now so much better. I feel good about myself. I'm going to do it again because I feel so much better. No one ever say that. And we combining that research with this understanding of the attention economy, we decided to create this brand Light that's opposite to all the technology company. First Light Phone was designed to be a secondary phone. We call it your phone away from phone, so that you could sometimes take a break. It's not about giving up technology or giving up smartphone. It's more about having a different tool for the right time and space, right? I mean, I am not anti-technology. We're not trying to ask people to give up all the modern technology tools you have. We're trying to say, hey, maybe Saturday morning, maybe weekend, or after 5 p.m., or when you hang out with your kids or your partners, it's really not, there's no need to swipe your phone or getting distracted by the business model. So we launched Light Phone on the Kickstarter in 2015, and we're getting a lot of traction and press coverage. I think Time Magazine had an article calling us anti-technology brand, and we got a lot of attention. And yeah, it went really well. The attention get us pre-orders, supported our first production. We start shipping Light Phone in 2017, I think, the first Light Phone. And then we obviously getting a lot of feedback, and our customers come back saying that, that almost everyone had this anxiety the first 20 minutes or even the first day when they use Light Phone, right? You tap your pocket, you're like trying to pay your grocery in the queuing up, and you don't have your smartphone, so you don't know what to do. So you just tap your pocket, you look around, you're getting really nervous because there's nowhere to escape to. but the magic is that, after this 20 minutes, most of people were able to get over this fear of missing out. And after you get over that FOMO, you started to pay attention. And you don't think about, you don't feel anxious anymore. You don't need to know what happened on social media. So you started to pay attention to like the people behind you, the people in front of you. You're making small conversation. You look around, you just be there. And one of the reporter that using Light Phone was telling us the biggest learning that she had was that it was okay to just standing there in the queue and doing nothing, and just look around. It's like giving herself permission to just be there, like for this 1 minute or a couple minutes. Who knows? Depends on how long is the queue. But yeah, it's refreshing to her. But it sounded so normal. Right? That's what humans do. We don't always have this escape device. That when you for every uncomfortable situation, you escape to your device, right? Yeah, that's and
Yeah.
We love that. And the follow-up feedback was that, hey, me and my partner enjoyed the time without a smartphone. We had great conversation in the restaurant, and but by the time when we wanted to go home, I cannot get a taxi easily, right? There's no Uber app, there's no ride sharing app or texting on the first Light Phone. And like, hey, people always ask, or our user at the time asked, like, hey, can you just add a couple things? I just want text message and ride share. And another group will be like, hey, I need map and music. I just need this couple things. I don't want Light Phone to be my secondary phone anymore. I want to use Light Phone more often or for good. I have my laptop, iPad for everything else. I don't want it to bring a smartphone that makes me nervous and anxious anymore. But I just need this couple of things. And I think in 2019, we took this feedback seriously and thinking through our own philosophy, right? It's not about giving up technology. It's more about having the right tools with you. So we decided to create the second Light Phone 2, that's the same critical size device, but we design and develop operating system and tools, utility tools that make a lot of people feel comfortable to break away from the smartphone from time to time or for good. Yeah, it's been going really well. We don't use social media advertisement. Most of our sales are organic from website tractions, from word of mouth. We have influencer celebrities that resonate with our missions and talk about it, almost like making a statement, talking about Light Phone on social media. I know it's ironic, but at the same time, most of the posts are about like I decided to, go light, use Light Phone for the next month or for good. Call me or text me if you need to get in touch and something like that. Making a statement, feeling proud about making that decision, and which is amazing, and that really energized and supported our growth in our business. Right? We do not have to spend millions or on social media advertisement or Google search ad, right? It's all organic. So it's just been really helpful. It's kind of superpower of our brand to getting sales and new users, mostly through word of mouth.
Hey, everyone, just another quick interruption. If you're listening to this podcast and you're not already part of our AMP community on WhatsApp, would love for you to get involved. So AMP is a community that we started at the beginning of the business, really, just to kind of bring together some of the interesting people that we were talking to, the marketers that we were coming across, many of whom have been on this show as well. And so now AMP is about 300 senior marketers from around the world, from various categories, different stages, challengers, incumbents. And it's really a place where people can share questions, can share resources, can make new connections, can use folks as sounding boards. And for those that are in it, you know, it is a very vibrant community. It's really taken on a life of its own, which is amazing. So if you're listening to this and you want to get involved, please go to our website, weareRival.com. There you can find the application form or reach out to me or someone at Rival directly. Thanks so much.
Yeah. And that is where I wanted to get to. But I will just say, hearing you talk about kind of the origin story and the need that you saw in the market, I do find it fascinating, almost this physiological connection that we've created over the last few years to these devices. One of the things that I catch myself doing, and I think everybody can relate to, is just if you're up and moving around, particularly if you've left the home or left the office, you do that tap to see if you got your phone. And if you don't, just like the circuitry that goes through your brain is like nothing else. The other thing that I think is fascinating is the social cue and unconscious pressure. If somebody takes their phone out in a social situation, almost everybody else does, or everybody else feels the impulse too. So it really is amazing. And, of course, there's a bigger debate. I think we need more of what you guys are doing on your side of the spectrum and the perspective that you're bringing to it. Of course, there's the other side of it and all the good things that has brought us. But apart from the pros and cons, it certainly has affected who we are and certainly how we interact with each other. And this isn't even getting into the chapter of like, I've got 3 daughters, the oldest of which is 13. That's a fascinating conversation of kind of how she's coming into a world where she won't know anything but having a mobile phone, and how she and her friends and what it means to kind of grow up with this. So that it's amazing what you guys are stepping into. And I think there's definitely a need for it in the world. I want to double down on, and you talked about it already, marketing. So you don't come from a marketing background, you're a designer. And I think that's actually a huge part of what you've been able to do in building such a distinctive brand. But I want to come back to something that you said in our prep call as a jumping off point to go a little bit deeper into what marketing looks like at Light and for the Light phone. You said that you, quote, don't consciously think about marketing. And yet you've built an amazing brand and a business that has been very successful through particularly marketing channels that I think a lot of other businesses pay a lot of money to try to crack: earned media, celebrity endorsements, word of mouth, etc. So help us understand what you mean by you don't consciously think about marketing, and how that lines up with the fact that marketing actually has been an effective driver of growth for your business.
Yeah, I think it's just so we are passionate about this problem, and the light phone is designed for me, essentially. And on that point, in my mind, right, I'm not trying to convince, or at least at the beginning, right, I'm not trying to convince everyone. There's 10 billion, 30 billion people to switch to light phone. I just feel like I want a phone that's just a tool, and my co-founder feels the same way too. That I don't want to see advertisement. I don't want to be tracked. I want the modern tool, and I think if I feel this way, I'm not special. I'm not so unique that no one feels the same way, right? There must be millions of people feeling this pressure, feeling this inhuman behavior that we are all doing for the last how many years, 15, 20 years. And when my thought is, it just has to be people out there that are feeling the same way. So once I solve my own problem, and I create and design, I couldn't find any company that doing what I wanted to do, or the device that I think makes sense for humanity. So we decided to do it ourselves. And once we do it, create a product for myself, my thought, it has to be millions of people out there feel the same way. And it's proven, which is true, and which also organically gain tractions. The decisions to announce light phones through crowdfunding campaign is also crucial for us to get that first public reactions and getting more press notice about what we're trying to do. That's really helpful. Yeah, like I said, but I'm not thinking at that time doing a crowdfunding campaign. It's not. I'm not thinking about marketing. I'm thinking about the first like $100,000 so I could get it started. But the side product, the byproduct of the campaign is the PR, is the attention we received. That's just for us. Different brand, different product might receive different reaction, but iPhone was a controversial topic at the time in 2014, 2015, and everyone had opinion, still having opinion about iPhone, right? If you show people a iPhone, like you could get so many different reactions, but everyone has a reaction. Right? I think the worst thing you could do is have a product and you show it and no one's like, it's a vacuum, something like that. I don't know, but yeah, and for on that point, yeah, I think that's really helping us building this organic tractions and having people talking about it. And I think it's later on once we realize word of mouth and organic tractions are our superpower, we craft strategy around it. For example, we know our customers, which is amazing, love talking about iPhone, showing off iPhone, and talking about, it's not just iPhone, right? Like I had the same experience too. You sit in a coffee shop, you have iPhone on the table. There's 80% chance that someone's gonna come up and ask, "Hey, what is that? What is that?" We actually have a video that we're creating right now for that specific interaction. But there's always people come up asking what is that, and the whole conversation becomes why this person choose or I choose to use iPhone, right? The conversation becomes what's wrong with social media, the good and bad. What's wrong with smartphone? Why don't I have smartphone? So it's a profound conversation happening when we talk about when two people are talking about iPhone. So we wanted to encourage our community to talk about iPhone. So we started a advocate program. It's like a affiliate program for someone that want to talk about iPhone online. You could have your own unique link. So if any sales happens through your link, we share our profit with you. So it's a way to encourage our community to talk about it. Obviously we for example, Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad just posted about iPhone on his Instagram. As a matter of fact, it's the only post on his Instagram. He's announcing that he had enough with the politics stuff and he decided to go light using iPhone for the foreseeable future, which is amazing and get us a lot of attention and orders as well. We didn't pay him for that post, and he's just resonating and supporting the mission.
Hey everyone, just wanted to take a second to make sure that you knew about another podcast that we have here at Rival that's all about microcultures. Many of you have probably seen our white paper that came out recently about how challenger brands are tapping into and leveraging microcultures to drive differentiated category growth. Our Chief Strategy Officer, Lance, and our Principal of Strategy, Cecilia, host a fantastic podcast called Ripples, where they explore this whole world of microcultures, including speaking to guests from some of the brands that are doing it well. So you should definitely check it out. There's going to be a link in the show notes. You can find it on wearerival.com as well. Thanks for listening.
So you do end up with marketing activity and execution that you could find in the playbook of another hardware manufacturer, another phone producer, affiliates, press, community building, etc. But actually the way that you get there, and this is what I'm trying to kind of tee up for our audience to kind of give them a takeaway, because your perspective is so different and what you've created is so different. If you approach it from, I'm sure as a designer, the job's to be done, perspective of you're creating a product that solves a specific need in the world, starting with the one that you had, but that you knew other people had. And then it sounds like while you don't consciously think about marketing, basically what you've done is you've either created or when you've seen them happen naturally, you've facilitated the telling of your story by the people that are already bought in. Is that a fair way to kind of sum up what marketing actually is at Lightphone or what it's been over these first 10 years?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair, and it's also out of necessity as a startup, right? In early stage, I don't have that much cash to do
Yep.
marketing, and I spend money on the most critical, and I know is cost efficient task, right? So at the time, I wasn't going to spend any money without knowing it's going to get us returns. And I don't have excessive money to spend on marketing anyway. All the money goes into development and R&D and all that. So yeah, what you describe is fair, and that's what we've been doing. But I also feel like it kind of makes sense. Like, why would you spend millions on social media without knowing what will be the return? You could try if you have money, go for it. But just the reality of a early stage startup, I don't have that luxury to do that. So makes sense.
So let's take one example because you do create some owned content, right? You do create content from and for the brand. So you did a 10 years of light video to celebrate the 10th anniversary. You did a video about the new, V3 that's come out. So how do you think about that? Do you think about that from the perspective of I know what I'm going to get back from this? Or is that more just about telling the story and giving your advocates something to then spread the word?
Yeah, no, content creation is definitely one of our primary strategies, but it's also kind of afterwards when we done that, this is a content creation. This really it's the term makes sense, but the beginning of it is more of coming from a place that we wanted to share Lightphone and the stories and why with people. And we know from the conversation, I mean, the real conversation we had with with our friends, with investors, with partners, we know stories and the why Lightphone really resonates. And we wanted to share that with general public. So which is it's been driving our content creation. My co-founder Joe did a lot of work on that front. But yeah, that's all. It makes sense. Like it fit into what you were describing. But we're coming from a place that I just want to share. Like I know that changing people's behavior is not an easy task. It's always going to be difficult to ask someone that, like, us using live smartphone for like 24/7 for 10 years, right? We don't, at the time, we don't think anything is wrong, right? It's very convenient. You have all the tools, everything on your fingertip. What's wrong with that? And trying to present or encourage a different option, it takes time and effort, and it require us keep communicating why, right? Why do you ask people? Why do you ask me to give up my smartphone? Like, what's so different, between your phone and my smartphone? Like, my smartphone does more, right? So we're trying to, and it's not just. I don't want it coming from me. I'm obviously hyper biased, right? I want people to look at, watch a video of some random Lightphone user talking about the initial anxiety when they use Lightphone, and the freeing feeling comes after they switch to Lightphone. They become more productive, less stressed out, getting hours of time back every day. better relationship, getting a better relationship with their families and friends and partners. We have someone told us that when he switched to light phone, obviously he has some sort of fitness watch, his heart rate actually reduced when he switched to light phone. So like I want to tell that story so that you, someone that have no idea what the hell is light phone and what does it do, get an idea the health benefits of switching off, even just from time to time. It's really similar to, I guess, the organic food, right? The healthy food. When the concept of a healthier food came up, no one's asking people to like, oh, you gotta stop eating burgers or steaks or fries. We'll just say like, hey, mix it up. It's better this way. And those are the health facts or healthy benefits you might be getting from doing so. And testimonial are a great way to convey the message. So yeah, it just kind of come naturally. But yes, it is content creation.
I'm curious, do you think that Light at some point would ever have a CMO? If not, why? If so, what would that person need to look like, and how would you see them functioning differently than a traditional CMO?
I think my co-founder Joe is our CMO, and we don't specifically define that rule, but I think we all as a team, we now have 15 people as a team, we're all pretty passionate about this project, and all this marketing activities, content creations, influencer campaigns, word of mouth, affiliate program, it all comes naturally from a place that we just genuinely wanted to share. And there are healthy benefits. It's helpful according to our community, our users, it's helpful for them. And so it's, I guess, yeah, we will obviously someone that dedicate the time full time on those activities would be helpful, and would sure we'll have team or individuals on that task. But we definitely we need more team members to get on that task.
Hey everyone, just want to take a quick minute because we've actually heard from many of you that you want to get a better understanding of what it is that we actually do here at Rival. You know us for the content. Obviously, you're listening to Scratch right now, but everything else that we put out, the events, the community, but actually our core business, just so you know, we are a marketing consultancy for challenger brands. We partner with brands big and small to gain category share with a challenger approach. We develop and execute strategies and campaigns across 4 main areas of the marketing function: brand strategy, creative and production, paid media planning and buying, and customer data and MarTech. And then, of course, as you know, the mission that's wrapped around Rival is to understand and share our learnings about what drives the growth of successful challenger brands. That's it. Sorry for the interruption. I'll let you get back to the show.
But it's like, what I say, we do a lot of work in the fintech space or for B2B businesses and oftentimes even consumer early stage startups. Somebody has to and is wearing the CMO hat, even if that role doesn't exist in the business, because otherwise you're just building a product. Marketing is everything that connects the value of the product you're building to the needs that exist in the market. So somebody's doing it, and it's better to be clear and explicit with kind of who needs to own that and how that role might be different within the DNA and the culture and the point of view of your organization. And yours is certainly distinct. Kai, I want to talk a little bit about the future. And I guess the question is really like, do you see the quote unquote marketing strategy staying the same or evolving as you scale? And the other thing that I'll throw in here is that you talked about the crowdfunding round, but unless I'm wrong, you've also raised money from venture capital at this point. And the stereotypical venture capital, I'm sure maybe the ones that invested in you are a little bit different, but at the end of the day, they're still looking for a payout, an exit scale, commercial scale at some point. And to what we were talking about earlier of like, why would people do all these marketing things? At the end of the day, it's because they know they can put money in and they can get money out, and they can do it quicker often than kind of a brand or story-led approach to building a business. So, what does the future look like in terms of how marketing evolves? And you don't have to be specific, but just the fact that you do have venture capital backing at this point, does that at all change how you think about how you need to scale marketing and customer acquisition?
Um, yeah, I mean, you know, we do have VCs and angels that's supporting our brand, and obviously we're not nonprofit. This is not just for charity, right? And as a matter of fact, in my opinion, this is easily a $1 billion company. Just the fact that 40% of smartphone customers already tried digital detox, and if you look at all the major carriers, right, they have hundreds of smartphones lined up, and only have one or two flip phone that no one cares about. And there's 40%, which is what, 10 billion people. It try digital detox, trying to simplify their technology consumption, and there's no product for it. Right? You could always argue that you could, delete app and turn your screen black and white, or turn on flight mode, or delete and then use third-party app to control your usage. But it's not the right tool. It's like using shoes to drink water. You could do that too, but it's just not the right thing. It just doesn't do the same thing. So yeah, as we grow, we're raising money, and with more resource, what we are thinking about doing is putting more resource behind our superpower, which is word of mouth, which is celebrities collaborations, different brands collaborations, amplify the message. Because this is, to me, this is a movement, right? This is a movement that it's been ongoing for years, and it's getting to a tipping point. And we did a collaboration with Kendrick Lamar and Dave Free's brand PG Land. We did a collaboration with Goops.com. We did it with Urban Outfitters, some fashion brand as well. So it's not really about pushing volume. It's getting the awareness and amplify this message, and and inviting more players into this trend. And yeah, the money we're raising a Series A right now, and the money is part of the money funding is to try to amplify, putting resource behind that superpower. So to answer your questions, no, I don't think we're gonna change in terms of like activities we're doing for promoting iPhone, sharing iPhone with people. I think we're gonna double down on what we already know is working. And I know, like, a lot of people didn't know what iPhone is, right? We're not on TV. We're not, actively putting advertisement everywhere, right? So we still have a lot of room to grow, and double down on our superpower is, to me, is the most cost efficient way to do it. And partnering with maybe a major carrier, T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon, will obviously accelerate what we're doing, and getting through the channel, getting the words out to general public, making iPhone or something like this as a mainstream option. You have your smartphone, you have your tablet. If you're sick of it, if you feel not, if your mental health is not aligned with the device you're using, maybe try an iPhone, right? It's an option. And we need balance, right? We always need balance as human species. You have greasy food, you have healthy food, you have big truck, you have city driving car, you have smartphone. Why can't we have an iPhone that does the modern thing, but just doesn't have the distraction?
So the last thing I want to ask you, which is almost going to be kind of pulling some of the key insights of what you've already shared, unless there's something new, but I think it is fascinating and incredibly valuable to our audience to have someone like you, who doesn't come from a traditional marketing background, but has built a very distinctive and culturally relevant an effective brand. And I'd be curious if you could kind of draw out what you think the biggest advantages have been for you, because I think that Light and Light Phone would have looked different if you had had a product and a marketing background. If you had had an entry level job at some point in the marketing organization of Unilever, it might have ended up being different. And I also think that for every Kai and Light Phone there is of like a product led business that's built an amazing brand, there are also some that maybe haven't. So clearly, you and your co founder, what you brought to the table from a product perspective to build this brand has been really successful. So I'd love to hear you maybe draw out from some of the things you've already said, or if there's anything else you want to add on. What are the advantages that maybe our audience who do come from more of a traditional marketing background, what's that perspective or set of principles that they can pull from your experience to maybe apply to their marketing roles?
Yeah. I mean, I guess, well, I mean, to us, it's kind of come naturally because we really sincerely believe in it as we want it. Myself or, ourself, right? So if it's running other companies, I would love to find people that like genuinely believe and love what the company or product trying to do. So if starting from that place, I think consumers, the general public, are not that stupid. They know that you're faking it. They know that when you do
Yep.
something, if you're not sincere about it, they know that you're not really into the thing. Like, I don't know, like, I guess if Google create a wellness thing that asks you to stay away from the browser, which you know that that's not how you make money. Why? It's not. That's not a real thing, right? So I would love, if I'm running other companies, finding people that really believe in talking sincerely to other people about the product would be the great starting point, versus a marketing, graduate that just do it for the job, which also fine. But as a founder, I think getting someone that's really believing, convinced that your product is going to make an impact would be the first place to start. I just sometimes feel like a lot of brands are fooling themselves, thinking they could do something that no one would notice, that it's fake. It's no, you're not being sincere about what you're trying to do. Just being sincere about what your communication would be really, it goes a long way.
Yeah, totally. And we talk about that all the time in the world of marketing. We talk about the term authenticity, and that's essentially what you're saying. But the other thing I think for me is that, and you do hear this often times kind of in the origin stories of product businesses where it's like, hey, I built this thing because I wanted it. I needed it. But you all had that, but you also plugged that need into, or it already existed as part of this cultural wave that was and still is happening. And you had a very sharp, unapologetic, but not dismissive way of putting your story out there. While you are against something, you're not saying that other people shouldn't have that thing. You're just saying there should be another option. And so that's the other thing that I would put on top of what you said about kind of like, people who are really authentic with their story. That story does have to be relevant, but also sharply differentiated for people to really care and get behind. Great. Kai, I'm sorry. Did you want to say something else?
I was gonna say, like, everyone obviously could just say that they are genuine. They need a product. They need a product, and they're building a product for themselves. At the same time, I guess you have to show you actually committed to do this, right? Lightphone has been out in the market for 9 years, almost 10 years. We've been supporting Lightphone to our product, releasing upgrades, updates, fixing bugs, getting more tools. Like, you could look at other brand that are trying to do the same thing. The come and goes, and the founder would say the same thing, but then after 1 year, it just disappeared and not really doing anything for the product. So you could say whatever, we always say the things we want to say, but with you, I guess like your action really amplify this message, right? But yeah, that's a good way. To me, it's the only way to do business for me. I can't fake it. I don't. But yeah, it makes sense to me. It's just human, right? Like how we talk about iPhone. We're not trying to finger pointing other people that everyone could make their own choice. You could like smartphone or you don't like smartphone. It's your choice. We're just presenting an option that we think makes sense for us. If I'm exaggerating, for humanity, I think our relationship with smartphone and screens and social media are not human. Like we don't spend 10 hours on screen. That's just not us. Unless we ruin the planet, you have nowhere to go. You have to sit in a box, put on a VR goggle, and live in a virtual world. And yeah, makes sense. But we're not there yet. And this activities or this relationship with our phone, which is not human. Like if you just watch someone using the smartphone on the subway, like I live in New York, in Brooklyn, you just watch someone using the phone. Like you sit there and swipe for like a minute, doing nothing, and then just put it back. And then, 5 seconds, put it out again, do it again, and do that, and then put it back, and just repeat that activities for like 20 times for no reason. If this is not addiction, if this is not like weird, I don't know what's weird. It's just so weird. And we all think it's normal. It's just not normal, and needs to change. And I guess just kind of why we were able to grow and sustain our business throughout the years with our advertisement budget. But yeah.
Well, I think that's a great summary and a great final bow to put on this interview. Kai, before I let you go, last question is, what is one thing people should do differently after listening to this episode?
You don't need, you don't need to buy an iPhone. You could just, try walk out of the house without your phone and give it a try, see how you feel. I guarantee you'll feel very anxious, but I can also guarantee you the freeing feeling will come. And it's not only benefits for yourself, it benefit your friends, partners, families. And yeah, just give it a try with different ways. You don't need to get an iPhone. You should try it and experience that yourself and make your own decisions.
I will say I've started 1 day a month. I know it sounds like so little, but it just shows kind of how connected we are. 1 day a month, leaving my phone completely off. And there's other times, after I'm done working, I leave it. I don't usually touch it, but 1 day completely off, it's amazing how different that actually
Try
feels.
a couple hours on Saturday or Sunday, take a walk. I think it's really helpful, and that's just natural for human. We need time for ourselves. We need time to reflecting on things. But yeah.
Love it. All right, Kai, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Scratch is a production of Rival. We are a growth consultancy that builds challenger brands, strategies, and capabilities to disrupt categories. If you want to learn more about us, check out wearerival.com. If you want to connect with me, email me at eric@wearerival.com or find me on LinkedIn. If you enjoyed today's show, please subscribe, share with anyone you think might enjoy it, and leave us a review. Thanks for listening, and see you next week.